what really does it mean to have a good motivation? And do we know when we have a good motivation? Okay. And also the question of what does it mean to lie? Yeah. Is lying okay for anybody to do? Is lying okay? 2, 3 people said no. Yeah, 4 people. Is it okay to lie when you, what?
Say no.
What?
They were responding to you. You said, is it okay to lie? They said no.
Oh, somebody said no, okay. Okay. So, is it okay to lie when we think we have a good motivation? It's okay. How do you know you have a good motivation and you're not rationalizing and justifying an action to yourself? Okay, I won't ask you any more questions. Yeah. We often do things where we think we have a good motivation, but if we actually check and why we're doing something, we may find out that we don't have such a good motivation. Okay, that we're doing it something for self-serving reasons. Okay. Sometimes when we hear in the Bodhisattva vows or in the talk about motivation, if you have a good motivation, then anything you do becomes positive, becomes virtuous. So, right now, there's a war in between Russia and Ukraine. Putin thinks he has a good motivation. I'm going to unify, I'm going to take back the land that belongs to Russia, that's always been ours. And so he attacked Ukraine, and they've been battling ever since. Does Putin thinking he has a good motivation mean he had a good motivation? No. But when you think you have a good motivation, you think you have a good motivation. So there's a difference between you and Putin. Okay. Does having a good motivation, or does thinking you have a good motivation, mean you can do anything you want and it becomes virtuous? Oh, now you changed your mind. Okay, now let me give you some examples. Okay, so let's say there's a married couple and one of the partners is cheating on the other one. but they know that if they tell the other one that they're cheating, there will be a big fight and the relationship will break up. So they lie to their spouse about and say, oh no, I'm just out with my friends doing this and that. Is that okay? Let's check that. How many women say it's not okay? How many men say it's not okay? Oh, there's some difference here. Okay. Because I've had the experience of people coming to me and saying, you know, I knew that it's usually the father, sometimes the mother. I knew that my father was having an affair, but he told us he was just working late or out with his friends. Yeah. And when we found out, he just said that he lied because he didn't want us to feel hurt. And he didn't want us kids to find out about it and be disturbed by what he was doing. Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah. So I lied out of compassion. I didn't want to make my wife and my kids upset. Is that compassion?
No. This is self-hatred.
Why isn't that compassion? When you lie, you're doing it out of compassion, aren't you?
It's different.
When you tell little white lies and you lie to people, aren't you doing it because you're so full of compassion and you don't want to hurt their feelings? Is what you think compassion actually compassion? No, it has nothing to do with compassion. It's totally self-serving, totally selfish, as was this man who said that, you know? He wasn't lying about his affair to protect his wife and kids from being hurt. He just was covering up what he was doing because he knew that it would bring him more problems. Okay, so we have to look here very carefully, yeah, and like I said before, what we think is a good motivation may not be. Okay. I had a friend once who lied to me about something. You know, he wanted me to do something, and he lied about it, okay, why I needed to do it. And it was something that I would have happily done if he had told me the truth. What he was lying about, I didn't understand why he was lying, because it was something he could have asked me directly to do. There was nothing non-virtuous in it. I would have done it. Yeah. But he lied. And that really affected my level of trust for him. Yeah. Even though I'm sure he thought he had a good motivation, you know, it wasn't. I think most of the time we lie to cover up things that we've done that we don't want other people to find out about. So with lying, it's usually double trouble. The initial thing we did that wasn't very good, and then lying about it because we don't want people to be upset and we don't want our reputation to be ruined. Yeah. Politicians do this all the time. This is what the former president of the US is doing, and it is ruining the entire country. But he thinks he's right, and he thinks he has a good motivation. No, he doesn't. But when you lie, it's okay. You have a good motivation.
For me, it's different. It's from my mother. Like my mother sick a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So you want your mother to do something, so you lie to her.
Because she has anxiety, then doctors say, you know, like she cannot, like maybe it's just a short time, but like cannot stay long, going to die, going to pass away. But you know, like we cannot tell the truth.
Okay, just because somebody says, just because the doctor says something, yeah, it's the relationship between the doctor and the patient. If he wants to tell your mom, he should tell her directly. And if he doesn't want to, then he shouldn't. Okay? Yeah. And in that case, there's no reason for you to be in between. Yeah, but you say back to the doctor, this is between you and my mother. Yeah. If you think it will help her to tell her this, say it. If you don't think, then don't say it. That doesn't mean you're asking the doctor to lie. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we don't have to tell people if we think that it will damage them, okay? But that doesn't, but not telling is different than lying. Yeah. I know for myself, if I were terminally ill, I would want somebody to tell me. Yeah, if they lied to me, I would not be at all happy. Okay? But sometimes people lie. They assume somebody else would be upset. Maybe that person will be upset, but we have to really check and see what the situation is. Sometimes that person really needs to know. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, them knowing would make them more agitated. So you decide not to say it. You change the topic. That's different than lying. The last time my mom went in the hospital, she had been in and out of the hospital a lot. And the last time she went in, my sister took her, and she asked my sister, am I going to die? Yeah. Now, my sister doesn't know. Is Mom going to die? Who knows? You never know what's going to happen in that situation. She could die. Yeah. She didn't say to Mom, well, Mom, you know, you could die. Yeah. With my mom, knowing my mom, that would not have been particularly good. But what she said was, if you're going to get well, you're in the hospital, which is the place where you'll get well. Mom was happy with that. And that was the truth. You know, if you're in the hospital and, you know, this is the place that can make you well. So don't worry. Okay. So there's lots of ways of saying things without lying. Yeah. Sometimes parents say they have to lie to their kids so that the kids will do something, or so that the kids won't realize Mom and Dad did. You know, when Mom and Dad say to the child, don't do this, but then the parents do it, yeah, then the parents often lie to the child. Oh, no, we didn't do that. Or, oh, I didn't mean this. Let me tell you, kids know when their parents lie. Yeah? I knew when my parents lied. So you think you're doing it for the sake of the child. Yeah. What you're actually doing is setting a bad example for your child. You're showing the child through what you're doing that you just lie to cover up things. And then, if you do that, then don't be surprised when your children lie to you. Do you want your kids to lie to you? Yeah. There was one situation where my mom told me, she didn't say lie, she just said, if this situation happens, don't tell me. Okay. The situation, this is interesting. She said, this is the mother's love for a child. She said, if you ever have a terminal diagnosis, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Okay? Personally speaking, I would actually, on one hand, I would like to tell her. Yeah. On the other hand, I know her well, and it would just waste a lot of time because she'd get hysterical. Fortunately, that situation never happened. But, yeah, if it did, I wouldn't have lied, but I just wouldn't have told her. Yeah. But as a kid, I knew when my folks were lying. Yeah, so parents, you think that you're being very clever in not telling your kids certain things. Yeah, and making up a phony baloney story. Or sometimes telling your kids to lie for you. Yeah. I knew, you see, I grew up in the age of the dinosaurs, when there were no hand phones, there were no voicemail. Yeah, there was nothing like that. So if somebody called, yeah, and I answered the phone, if my mom was busy, or no, how does it go? If she didn't want to talk to somebody, they told me, tell them I'm not home. Okay? I was told by my parents when they might have just been busy doing something else. It wasn't that they didn't want to really talk to the person. It was just the timing. But they told me to lie and to say they weren't home. What's wrong with just saying they're busy? Yeah. Are people's feelings going to get hurt? We've all been busy, and somebody wants to talk to us, and we're in the middle of something. Do we have to lie and tell them I'm not here? Or can we just say, tell them I'm busy, and I'll call them back? You see what I'm getting at? How sometimes we lie, and it's not even an issue of saving somebody's feelings. I don't know why we lie, and when people do that, it really affects me, especially if it's over something very small. Yeah. But even if it's a big lie, yeah, and people think they're protecting me, for me, with my personality, that's not helping me. To me, if somebody lies to me, it's an insult. It means they don't think I am mature enough to deal with the situation. Why are they lying? Because they think that, oh, I'm just going to fall apart, or I'm going to explode in anger, or something like that. So they lie to me. Yeah. Personally, I feel insulted that they think that I'm that immature. Okay. But the people think, oh, I don't want to upset them. Yeah. But what's happening by lying, okay, you're not upsetting me. Even if you told me the truth might upset me, but I'm not going to be, because maybe I'm not planning it on it, I'm disappointed or something like that. But still, I need to know. You know? I don't need somebody to protect me from that. Okay. Also, when we hear that the Bodhisattva vows, oh, this is one good example. There's one of the Bodhisattva vows that says, that the Bodhisattva vows are more important than like the 5 lay precepts or our monastic vows. So that in some situations, if you have a good motivation, you can break your pratimoksha vows, your 5 precepts. Okay, and then they give the example for that. One time in the Buddha's past, before he became a Buddha, he was the captain of a ship, and there were 500 merchants in it. They were looking for gems in the ocean and found some, but one of the merchants was going to kill the other 499 so he could take all of these gems. Okay, so the Buddha, being a bodhisattva, had clairvoyant powers, killed the person who was going to kill the others. And he did that to save the lives of the other 499. So we hear that story, and then we think, oh, okay, my neighbor's dog is barking so loud and wakes up my baby, and my baby needs to sleep, and I do too, and that dog is just barking, barking, barking all hours of the day and night. So, I care about my child, and so I'm just going to put some poison in the dog's food and kill it because I have a good motivation. I'll pray that the dog will go to Amitabha's Pure Land, and then my child will sleep through the night, and so it's okay. What do you think of that? Oh, that's not good? Even if the dog barking was waking up your baby in the middle of the night, making it cry and cry? Why isn't it good? Think about it. When they give these examples of the Buddha in a previous life, for example, taking the life of this one merchant, if you study the Bodhisattva vows, you will know that to do that kind of action, you have to be an Arya Bodhisattva. It's not even any Bodhisattvas. The lower Bodhisattvas cannot do that. You have to be an Arya Bodhisattva. So just say, well, the Buddha did that, I can do that. Then you have to ask yourself, am I an Arya Bodhisattva? Now, if you don't know what an Arya Bodhisattva even is, guaranteed you are not one. Okay? Even if you know what an Arya Bodhisattva is, you have to check if you qualify. And you have to check if it's really a good motivation or if you're rationalizing and justifying things. Okay? So, you know, in the discussion about speech that you just had, you really need to think very carefully about what you say and why we say it. Yeah? How about gossiping? Yeah, you know, when I go to work, I have some friends at work, and I just love talking about so-and-so, because so-and-so in this other department is really kind of a dimwit, and I can tell stories about them that make everybody laugh. And it's good for you know, being with the people in my department, because we all laugh together. And so we bond. So gossiping is good. It's helping us come together. Yeah? Is that okay? Well, some of you are saying no. I heard that during the discussion, some of you said yes. You changed your mind? Did you change your mind because you have a different understanding, or because I'm sitting in front of the room asking you? Yeah. All of a sudden, oh, yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong, terribly wrong. I shouldn't do it, and I don't do it. Not at all. I don't gossip at all. Really? Really? You don't gossip at all? But it's so much fun. Because you can talk about somebody else and point out all their bad qualities, and the conclusion that with you and your friend who you gossip to is, well, we're much better than that person. Yeah, so you come out after you gossip, you feel really good about yourself. Yeah, that person I gossiped about. When you gossip about somebody, are you saying good things about that person or bad things? You're saying bad things, aren't you? So if I can trash that person, then that means I'm better than them. Yeah. And I do it with everybody else in my department, and we all laugh together, so it makes us close. Feels good. It's fun. I like to gossip. Yeah. Anybody here like to gossip? You're all gonna say no. And I know you're lying. So don't say no. It's a dead giveaway, you know, that you're just trying to cover up for yourselves. Okay. So what I'm getting at is, you know, just thinking we have a good motivation doesn't make our motivation good. And it doesn't make the action virtuous. Okay? So we have to really check our motivation. I've heard some Dharma teachers comment that when certain students come to see them, those students are so polite. They bow, they speak softly and gently. They're very courteous. They're polite to the other people around. Yeah, really on their best behavior. But, yeah, you think teachers are stupid. We gossip ourselves. So the teacher hears from another teacher. They're not gossiping because they mean bad. They're sharing information. But, you know, or forget even gossiping. This person is on great behavior when they're in front of you. But later on, when you see them with other people, they're rude and bossy. Okay? So in front of the teacher, I'm so sweet, I'm so kind and considerate, I'm such a good Dharma practitioner. And then when they're not near the teacher, they just are mean and obnoxious. Yeah. I've seen many cases of that. Yeah, it's really rather sad. So really something to consider here and think about. Because karma, the karma we create, does not depend on whether we think we have a good motivation. It depends on whether we do have a good motivation. And sometimes we are not even aware of our motivation. We just say or do whatever. And then a few years later, we think back about that time, and we realize, oh my God, I lied a lot. I had such a horrible motivation. But at the time you were doing it, you couldn't see it. So that happens a lot, yeah. So we shouldn't be too arrogant, yeah. Oh, I had a good motivation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that's enough on that topic. I'm sure you would like me to change the subject too. But you know, this kind of thing comes up a lot. Somebody comes and says, you know, you're going out to some fancy something. And so somebody comes and they say, how do I look? And they're waiting for you to say, you look great. Actually, you can't stand what they're wearing. Yeah. Actually, you look terrible. Why in the world did you wear that? Yeah. So you feel, oh, I have to lie. Yeah. You don't have to lie. You can point out something that is good about how they look. Yeah. Oh, I like your shoes. You know, you don't comment about the rest. Okay. Or another example about lying, and this is where people often lie. Okay, you go to visit your grandma, okay, and your grandma loves you, and she's cooked all day to make what she thinks is your favorite meal, because she knows you're coming and she wants to feed you something good. But what she doesn't know is what she made you can't stand. So she serves you this food that you don't like at all. And she says, you know, and you try and get some of it down. And she says, how do you like the food? What do you say? Oh, Grandma, it's delicious. Yeah. Or do you say, Grandma, this food stinks. Don't ever make it again. I can't stand it. Okay. When Grandma is asking you, how do you like the food? What does she really want to know? What is her real question? Does she really want to know what you think of the food? What is she really asking? Yeah. What she's really asking is, I cooked today because I love you and I wanted to give you something that you like. Do you understand that I love you? That's what her real question is. She doesn't care whether you like the food. She wants to know that you love her and that you know that she loves you. Yeah. So Grandma says, how do you like the food? You say, Grandma, you really went all out today cooking this food, and I really love coming and visiting you and talking to you. You're a very special person in my life, and I love you. That's what she really wants to know. Yeah. And so you don't answer the question she's asking about the food. You answer the question that she's actually asking without saying the words. Yeah. And she's happy afterwards. And what you said was true. You know, you appreciate her going out of her way to do this. And she is an important person in your life. Okay? Okay. So we have just a little bit of time left. Let me run through the last steps of the 7-point cause and effect. So we got to all sentient beings have been our parents, especially our mother. They've all been kind to us when they were our mother, and here we used the example of our present mother to see how mothers are kind to their kids. The first monastery I stayed at, there was a dog named Sasha. Sasha somehow had gotten injured and she couldn't walk on all fours. She just used her 2 front paws and she dragged the rest of her body. Yeah. And then Sasha had puppies. Yeah. She can't walk. She's dragging herself along. And she had a litter of puppies. Yeah. Well, Sasha loved those puppies. Yeah. And she nursed them. And she went out looking for food that she could eat so that she could nurse her puppies. And she could barely move. And it was painful. But she crawled along to find whatever food there was that was lying around. And I saw this, and to me that was just, whoa, you know, this is how much, you know, she cared for her puppies. And this is how much other sentient beings cared for me when they were my parents. Yeah. Another retreat center I went to had peacocks. And one of the peacocks make so much noise. Don't get a peacock for your Dharma center. They're beautiful and they make a lot of noise. Anyway, so there was this mama peacock, and she had some eggs, and she sat on those eggs, you know, to warm them so the eggs would hatch. She was sitting on those eggs for weeks. It was clear that the eggs were not going to hatch, that there were no viable baby peacocks. but she kept sitting on those eggs. Yeah. She loved those baby peacocks so much that even after they died, she kept sitting on the eggs. Yeah. So you see this in the animal world. You see this in the human world. So when we receive kindness, then we want to repay it. Okay, that's the next step. So we want to give something back, or what many people do now is instead of paying it back, instead of paying the kindness back, they pay the kindness forward. They're kind to somebody else. Yeah. And so this fourth step that's called heartwarming love is when you see other living beings in beauty, just the way a parent sees their child. Yeah? And instead of seeing your child, just your child like that, because it's your child, yeah, knowing that that person, that other person was once your parent, saw you like that, then you want to pay it back to them, even they weren't your mother in that particular life. Okay? You see them as heartwarming. You see them as lovable. Okay? So this is a really good practice to do when you're stuck in a traffic jam. Okay? Instead of sitting there going, you know, just look around at all the other drivers and think, you know, they were once my mother and they were kind to me. May I wish them, may I be kind to them in return. May I wish them happiness and the causes of happiness in return. Okay? So that's the fourth one, the heartwarming love. Fifth is compassion. When a love wants them to have happiness in its causes, compassion wants them to be free of suffering in its causes. Yeah, so you have compassion for them. Okay, so actual love and compassion, it doesn't matter which one comes first. You can generate love for somebody and then compassion, or compassion first and then love. But the fourth point in this 7 points is heartwarming love. Yeah, where you really see somebody as beautiful, as lovable. Yeah. And that one needs to come before compassion. Yeah. We need to see somebody in a very pure light, you know, to have very strong compassion for them. Yeah. Or not necessarily in a pure light, that's the wrong way of saying it. We need to see somebody as valuable to us in order to have compassion for them. Yeah. So here, people are valuable. Yeah. I'm not counting how they treated me this life. I'm thinking that many, many lifetimes in the past, they were my parents and were very, very kind. Okay, so that's the fifth one, compassion. Sixth one is called great resolve. And here, we not only have love and compassion, which is wishing them to have happiness and not and be free of suffering, but we are committed to doing something about it. Okay, so it's the difference between standing on the beach and you see somebody drowning and you say to somebody else, go out and save them. Okay, you see them drowning, but I don't want to risk my life and go out and save them. I want them to be saved, but I don't want to be the one who does it. So I ask somebody else to do it. So if we have that attitude, yeah, we have love and compassion, but we don't want to act on it, yeah, then we don't have this sixth quality of the great resolve. So when we have all those six qualities and we have developed them in sequence, yeah, then those are the six causes. The result of that is I want to be able to benefit sentient beings because I have love and compassion for them because they've been so kind to me. Yeah. How can I best benefit them? And you look around and, you know, who can best benefit living beings? Yeah. Many people can have love and compassion, but they don't have the wisdom to know how to benefit somebody. They don't, or their compassion isn't such that they will hang on and continue to benefit that person, even if the person pushes them away. Okay? So you see that by the seventh one, you have to have a very strong compassion. You have to have wisdom. You have to have skillful means. You have to have power. Who has those qualities? Yeah, the Buddha. And the Buddha is the one who is best able to benefit others. So then we develop the bodhicitta, the aspiration ourselves to become a Buddha, so that we can do the same kind of activities the Buddha does to benefit others. And here, when we're talking about benefiting others, we're not talking about giving them money, yeah, giving them a nice house, giving them a vacation, you know, to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower. That's not what we're thinking about when we think about giving beings happiness and saving them from suffering. Yeah. Why? Because all those kinds of happiness come, go very quickly. Yeah? I mean, sure, you can take them to the Eiffel Tower, they enjoy it, nothing wrong with that, but they come down from the Eiffel Tower and it's the same old thing. Okay. You have a good meal, or you feed somebody who's very poor, you give them a good meal. They appreciate it. It's good for them. But after they finish, then after a few more hours, they're hungry again. Yeah, like all of us are. So here, those are ways to benefit people, but here we want to become a Buddha because the best way to benefit others is to be able to lead them on the path to full awakening. Okay, to teach them the Dharma. So that's a very, very noble motivation. Now, when we talk about having a good motivation, that one's it. Okay? And so that's the result of those first six, that you generate actual bodhicitta, and then that motivates you to really study the Dharma, think about it, meditate on it, instead of hearing a teaching that is you don't understand very well, it's very complicated, so being lazy, you just put it aside and read a comic book instead. Yeah. When you have the bodhicitta, you're willing to put forth extra energy to create the causes to become a Buddha, because your wish to benefit others is so intense. Yeah. you hear stories, not very often, but sometimes, of somebody who was in an accident and they were caught under a vehicle. Yeah, the car was on top of them or something. And somehow, somebody that really cares about them happens to be there, and that person will lift up the cart and the other person can get out. Or even they can't lift it alone, they get a few people to help them, and they can pick up this incredibly heavy car because they want so much to benefit that person and get them out from underneath that car. Yeah. So it's that kind of strong wish that motivates us to really create the causes for Buddhahood. Okay? So instead of just, Buddha, 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 please, I want to become a Buddha like you, make me enlightened. And in the meantime, while you're making me enlightened, I'm going to go have some tea and talk to my friends. No, that's not the way it's done. Okay? When we don't pray to the Buddha to do things for us that we can do ourselves. Okay? We don't, it's okay, you know, sometimes if you have problems to ask for the Buddha's inspiration and blessings. But the real thing is to practice the Dharma. And to do that, you need to know the Dharma. So you need to come to teachings and you need to read Dharma books. Yeah. If you don't do that, what can the Buddha do to help you? Okay. So we ask for the blessings, but we think it means the Buddha does all the work. Yeah. There's a joke about that. Yeah. Somebody's praying to the Buddha. Buddha, 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 please, my family's poor. I want my kids to have a good education, and I need money to pay the school fees. You know, and so Buddha, please make me win the lottery. And then you hear this voice of the Buddha saying, buy a ticket. Yeah? In other words, if you don't have the ticket, you're not going to win the lottery no matter how much you pray. Okay? In the same way, if we don't learn how to control our own mind, yeah, just praying to the Buddha to make us enlightened, what can the Buddha do? Yeah? He can't go abracadabra, sis boom ba, you're a Buddha, you know. We're the ones who have to practice, so that's important. Okay, so that's the 7-point cause and effect teachings for generating bodhicitta. And tomorrow we'll talk about equalizing and exchanging self and others. And I won't ask you any questions, but you will not like what I say. And I won't be trying to insult you, but your ego will be insulted. Yeah? So if your ego is insulted, does that mean that I have a bad motivation? No. Yeah. I need to give you the teachings. Yeah. You're getting insulted is your business. Yeah, your choice. Maybe you choose to get insulted. Oh, why is she saying all those things and pointing out all my faults? Yeah. Or you might say, oh, thank you, I need to hear that. So that's up to you. When you hear equalizing self and others and disadvantages of self-centeredness, how did you respond?
Getting a lot of Shakti-Deva, it's good. It's painful, but it's very good.
It's painful, but it's good. Yeah. It's ego that is painful. But we are so ego-sensitive, aren't we? Yeah. Everybody's got to like me.